One of my favorite ways to stay in cities is by using Airbnb. Now, this is not sponsored at all by Airbnb. It's just a favorite service of mine to use, and a lot of people are curious about what Airbnb I stayed in when I was in Boston. Today, join me for a cup of coffee as we go up to the Airbnb that I stayed in and discuss 5 pro tips on how to use Airbnb. And feel free to ask me anything about Airbnb. I'm Ariel, and you're watching Urbanist. So I'm staying right now in the neighborhood of Beacon Hill, which you might recognize from yesterday's live video. It's a gorgeous neighborhood. I'm right by the State House, which I actually can see at the end of the street. Right down there, the State House. It's literally right there. There's a little bit of construction going on, but generally there's a little park right here where you can sit down, enjoy a cup of coffee. And we're right behind a church. And we can see the high rises of Boston around. So this is the street I stayed in. Good morning, Stanley. Good morning, Hannah. Good morning, Kay. Hello, Oscar. Nice to see you here. And this is the place I'm staying at. I will tell everyone the link to the Airbnb in case if you want to stay in the same place or use the same house, which we're going to see. It's a combination of it's a few different apartments all in one. So let's go inside. So it is no key. You have to put in a password, and for sake of privacy, I'm going to point the camera away. It's very easy to remember. And if you forget numbers too easily, then just write it in there and put it in your wallet. All right. And one more flight of steps. Another code. This is the Airbnb. Pardon my windedness. It is quite a bit of a stairs, especially after drinking half a cup of coffee. But it is so cozy. So here is the Airbnb. It's gonna be a fairly quick tour, but there is an air conditioner. Here's the closet. Let's open them up. Some closet space. Hangers. They have an iron just in case. They also have a hair blower, which I tend not to use. They have a fan if it is summer or if it's before fall time and you don't want to use air conditioner. You can use a fan. Here's the bathroom. Huge mirror, very big sink. They provide soap, of course. Many Airbnbs do tend to provide soap at least. And here's the shower. And this works normally. It's really cool. And the cool thing I like about the shower, it's like a cobblestone shower. So it's good for your feet, surprisingly enough. That's why I've been able to walk for like 8 hours a day. And the cool thing about Airbnbs is that they have a kitchen, which hotel rooms typically do not. You might stay in a hotel suite or a suite room, and they might have a kitchen. But Airbnbs, the cool thing is most of them always have kitchens if you're staying in an individual place. It looks spotless. Yes, it does. I stayed here for the past week, and they have a microwave. They have 2 stovetops. They have a pretty gigantic refrigerator. It looks like a mini fridge, but you can fit a whole lot of things in there. I myself, fit a few water bottles, sparkling water, got some bananas as well placed over here. They have all the proper utensils that you might need. Everything's cleaned. There's a garbage can right below there, and some pots and pans just in case if you want to cook. There's a coffee maker and a toaster I haven't used either, and some glassware and plateware. And let's see what's in here. There's actually nothing in here. Okay. And of course there's a sink. So here is the little desk, which I really appreciate because I'm coming here on business. Business meaning I make videos and I use a laptop. So I need to do all the stuff afterwards and putting the thumbnail and putting the tags to the videos, and I can do that with my laptop. Now I came, because I'm coming from New York City, this is all the baggage I have. And they have a seat in the corner, they have a TV with DirecTV, so there is cable. However, I usually bring my Chromecast and use my Chromecast with it. It was a little bit tricky to use in this instance because they only had 2 outlets, and I couldn't find the outlet for my Chromecast. I actually brought the wrong outlet for my Chromecast, which I brought the European one because I usually travel to Europe, not within the US. And this is the bed with a beautiful view. Well, not a beautiful view, but with a view, with a window and a fire escape. And we are in a historic building. So Happy Chick, you say it's a cute table, nice looking place. Does it have Ethernet support? So feel free to ask me any questions. I will go back and answer any questions. But before I answer a question, let me first show you how it looks outside. Let me kind of wiggle around this bed and show you how it looks outside. And I am going to put the camera down. Okay, make this easier. So it is a quiet neighborhood. The only thing, there was a little bit of construction, but otherwise it's fairly quiet, especially after 10 p.m. And it's a very residential neighborhood, and thus there's not that many people walking out and about, usually. So that's the window view. And it is nice fresh air, except they don't have a screen, which is always a little bit, I feel a little bit nervous when I don't see a screen, mostly because I don't want a random bird to fly in or a cat to sneak in the middle of the night. That didn't happen, but I'm always super cautious. And of course, is the street. The street's down below. So the bedroom is facing the street, but the street's tiny. All right, let's do a bed test before I answer any of your questions. Here is the bed, and it was a very comfy bed. Very, very comfy bed. And yes, they are low ceilings, but it is charming in its own right. So yeah, that is the Airbnb tour, everyone. One more time. And let me answer all your questions. I'll be more worried about bugs. Yes, that's the other thing I'm worried about. It is colder weather right now, so there's no mosquitoes out and about, but I would be worried about other bugs. But in Boston, I don't see that many bugs. It's not like every city has a different deal with bugs. Boston doesn't seem to have too much, at least this area. Okay, so feel free to ask me any questions about Airbnb. And let me actually put on the lights. There's actually more lights here. And it's pretty warm, so let me put on my AC. So checkout is at 11. Checkout is at 11. And what is the price? For 1 week, I paid $800. Give or take like $10 to $20. It was around 800 for 6 days. Granted, this room is actually much more expensive. Boston is an expensive city to stay in terms of Airbnb. How many outlets are around? There's a lot of them. So I have one over here with the light. The TV and the dark TV have one. There's one here in this corner, so that's 3. There's one in the kitchen, 4. And there's one underneath the desk, 5. 5 outlets in this tiny little room. So quite a bit of outlets. Now, generally, this neighborhood is extremely expensive because you saw it yesterday. It is one of the ritziest neighborhoods in all of Boston. And I'm literally a 5-minute walk away from the Freedom Trail. And the State House is right there. Or even less than a 5-minute walk because the State House is right there. So like a 2-minute walk away from the Freedom Trail. It is a really prime location. There's a lot of breakfast options, a lot of coffee options around. Are your neighbors noisy? They only were noisy on Saturday. It seems like I have neighbors that are probably in their early 20s, maybe college students, and they were having like a small get-together in their apartment, and it was right next to me. And one of them had a little fight, a little romantic scuffle. Not like a physical fight, but like a verbal fight. And I could hear that at night. One of the people involved in this romantic trifle was crying late in the night. So that was the only day I was woken up by that. Now, the only thing I did need is that you see this window. The streets here are well lit, and there's a lot of light that comes through. And the bed, I changed position because I prefer to sleep in a different position, but light was still coming through, so I had to use an eye mask. And I bought an eye mask from Amazon, which I use all the time. So which country's Airbnb that you've stayed in is the best worldwide? So I think I might have missed a few questions, so feel free to ask again. What is the best Airbnb I've stayed all worldwide, says Enfall. Enfall, the best Airbnb I've stayed worldwide has to be Prague. It was gigantic, the apartment, and right in the heart of the city. I never covered it on Urbanist, so this was pre-Urbanist. And I stayed with 2 other friends, and each room was twice bigger than this entire little Airbnb. Each room. And we had 3 rooms, plus a gigantic common area, and a huge kitchen, and like 2 bathrooms. So it was a really awesome deal right in the heart of Prague. And we only paid about $50 each. It was even less. It was like $25 each per day, per night. The second best place I've stayed in Airbnb is Istanbul, which in Istanbul, if you ever visit, I hope to show it on Urbanist in the near future, they take their design very seriously. So somehow Istanbul has this gorgeous Airbnbs. This is my first Airbnb in the U.S. I haven't done an Airbnb in the U.S. So this is my first Airbnb in the U.S. I like it. I got really lucky. It's a very, very prime location. The Airbnb price is about twice more. As I mentioned, this is one of the most exclusive addresses in the entire world. Twice more. So I end up paying very competitive price. Did the owners reassure you that extra cleaning was done as a result of COVID? Not quite. Only in the description of the Airbnb. Chris, great question. My only concern with COVID is, I hope people are wearing masks as they go up the stairs, because the stairs are not ventilated. There's no open windows in the stairs. B, I hope, I'm a little bit concerned about the air conditioning, because the air conditioning is a shared unit. And I just realized that last night, and I slept with the window open. But the air conditioning is with a shared unit. But if you come here, anything before winter, I think you can easily sleep with the window open. People usually prefer Airbnb to hotel. Might be because. Okay, so first tip. Well, let me read Kate's message first. I've been nervous about booking Airbnb. I've read so many rooms are not legal. Okay. This ties into the first tip. First tip is get Airbnbs that are very highly rated. I do understand new Airbnbs pop up and they need reviews eventually. But you do not need to be the tester for that Airbnb. You don't need to be the guinea pig. There's other people who are way more willing to be the guinea pig. You don't need to be it. I don't care to be the guinea pig when I see a new Airbnb. If I see 0 reviews, I'm not going to go there. If I see 2 reviews, I'm not going to go there. I usually count on places that have more than, say, 10 reviews. It could depend on per city. Some cities are just not so well trafficked. But if there's at least a handful of reviews, I think you could already start trusting it. Beyond that, the more reviews there are, the more chances it's a good Airbnb. The second thing you should check out while looking for the Airbnb is that if it's a superhost. The superhosts are verified Airbnb hosts. That means they verify that they're a good host, and they verify that they are competent, and they verify that they are hosting in a legal space. And this place is. So this place is a guest house. It's a suites. And now in Airbnb, you can use Airbnb to connect with suites. Suites used to be long-term rentals in major cities. And here you can stay in a suite using Airbnb. I didn't need to, go directly to their site, which I could do so, but I just like using the Airbnb service to book those suites, and generally I can get a last minute suite, which is in a legal location. The second type of legal Airbnb that I think you'll have a good time with is the Airbnb might also be an actual bed and breakfast, a legal running bed and breakfast. And that is the case with smaller towns in the US and with the outskirts and smaller towns in Europe. You might find legal Airbnbs. The third type of legal Airbnb is if it's already a hotel, or if it's some type of kind of apartment building owned by a landowner. Those are also legal Airbnbs. When it comes to homes, or staying in someone's home, staying in someone's apartment, then it is gray area. But know that in almost every city I've been to, there's always an option to stay in things that seem 100% legal. Like this place. This place is a legal suites. Suites is like a long-term rental. But I'm only staying here for a week. Apartment when I was born in Boston was $70 a month. Here is $70 a day. Linda. Yes, I love small town Airbnbs. And you can use Airbnb as a service to go to small towns, to stay in a local Airbnb. Because sometimes finding local B&Bs is a bit more time consuming because you have to find a particular site. You might need to do a little bit extra research. And if you're planning your trip a few weeks ahead of time or a few months ahead of time, then yeah, you can easily book directly with the bed and breakfast. But if you are planning a trip in only a course of a few days or a week or two, like I did, I'm going to use Airbnb. It's a very easy service to easily find that charming bed and breakfast or these prime location suites, etc. The bath. Is there any hidden cameras? No, there's no hidden cameras. That is an issue very rarely. It is an issue with Airbnbs that are new. So that's why I say go to Airbnb that has been running for a long time. And my checkout time is soon, so I gotta check out at 11 a.m. Go to Airbnb where they have had a lot of reviews. Once you start getting into the dozens of reviews or in the hundreds, a lot of Airbnbs tend to have more than 10. Then you start knowing, I feel more confident that the place is decent in their privacy. When are you looking to Airbnb in the city center? Okay. Adam, great question. Do they do housekeeping? No. These suites, they don't do housekeeping. They only housekeep when you first stay. When you're coming into the room, when you check in, they clean the bed sheets. I came here with clean bed sheets. Everything was spotlessly clean. It looks housekeeped because I actually cleaned it up for the sake of the video. You know, I'm traveling. To be honest, I don't make up my bed when I'm traveling, especially when I'm busy making a lot of videos. So I cleaned it up for the sake of the video, but there's no housekeeping. And if you are staying here for a month, for example, you might need to wash your own bed sheets. But they do have a laundry downstairs, which is awesome. And that's the case with some type of Airbnbs. In London, I stayed in an apartment that is an Airbnb, though I didn't use Airbnb for London. And they had a washer in the apartment. So I was able to wash my own clothes and wash my own bed sheets inside the apartment. So Adam asks, when are you looking to book an Airbnb in the city center? I like booking Airbnbs. I recommend everyone, this is my second tip, book an Airbnb inside a vibrant neighborhood or a centralized neighborhood. They're not always one and the same. So here in Boston, Beacon Hill is a really, really great neighborhood. It's right by the State House. It's the most exclusive address in the entire city. It's akin to the Upper East Side of New York. This is not even the West Village. This is the Upper East Side of New York. It's a very expensive area. And the cool thing about Airbnb, if you find a good deal, you can stay in the most expensive area of town. You can stay in the middle of the historic center. You can stay in a historic building like I am right now. You can stay in, or you can stay in the vibrant, young area. Like if you are in New York City, you can potentially stay in the East Village or in Bushwick or in Williamsburg. And I've done that in other cities. In London, I stayed in Camden Town. And it was a prime location for eating out, having a very great cup of coffee in the morning or a great breakfast in the morning, a great sausage roll in London. In Rome, same thing. I stayed in a pretty vibrant area of Prati, but it was also a prime tourist area. It was kind of a combination of both. The thing is with hotels, I like hotels, have nothing against them, and I do stay in hotels sometimes. There's two different things about hotels. One is they are more expensive generally. They're still more expensive, despite having a lot of competition against Airbnb, and despite a lot of hotels actually going under. I think the economics of hotels are not able to sustain in certain locations. So they tend to be more expensive. And also, the ones that are good deals tend to be in office areas. So they tend to be in financial districts. And that's definitely the case with most European cities I visited. Rome, London, um, France, Paris to a smaller extent. And that is definitely the case here in the US. Philadelphia, New York is similar. Yeah, Boston not quite. Boston is a unique city when it comes to hotels. But most hotels tend to be in financial districts. And because they tend to be in financial districts, it's quiet at night, but most financial districts are further away from the tourist sites. Boston is an exception and New York is an exception because the financial districts are the historical sites in these two cities. But you go to London, or London maybe not, but if you go to Rome, you go to Prague, you go to Budapest, you go to any other different type of city, Philadelphia, you go to Washington, D.C., the financial districts are now within the historic area. And thus, you're staying in an area that pretty much everything closes at 7 p.m. Generally, the food is just food that people eat during lunchtime, and it's not always the best type of food. Some cities are changing in that regard with financial districts, but definitely that's not the case in most financial districts. So that's the downside of staying in a hotel in most cities, is that you're staying in a far off location. There's a beautiful bed and breakfast 2 blocks away from Gramercy Park. Oh yeah, Judith. Oh, that's so cool. Have you stayed? Happened to me in Frankfurt. Yeah, Frankfurt. You're far away from everything. And is it too late for a duck boat ride? I don't know. It is a bit cold weather. A lot of people want to see a duck boat ride. Let me know. I'll stay live for. Oh wow! Sometimes I think I'm gonna do video for like 10 minutes. It ends up being much longer. I'm gonna stay live for 10 more minutes. Ask me any questions. I think I missed a few questions. Again, it's okay to ask repeated questions because I get in a train of thought and I want to give you the best information. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to say out loud. Ralph says, is there any takeout close to me? Yes, right in the corner there was a great pizzeria. And it was a really high-end pizzeria. Good prices. I got a huge freshly made panini with goat cheese and honey and apples with some bruschetta. I mean, not bruschetta, it was porchetta and very soft, fluffy bread, ciabatta bread. Ooh, only for $12. Oh, wow. And their pizza pies were only like $15, $16. And it was great. It was right there. Otherwise, I was within a 10-minute walking distance to any type of good food. And Boston is a unique city. It's similar to New York and similar to other cities like London and Paris. History, food, and great vibrant neighborhoods are all in the same place. So there was great coffee shops nearby, and I'm gonna post a mega food list. Stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, you're gonna see my mega food list on all the best places for food that I experienced here in Boston and shown in videos. And then beyond that, I was very close to all the major tourist sites. So it was a very unique place, very unique city. Love the tuna melt in Starbucks. Yeah. Here in Boston, you don't need to do Starbucks. I love Starbucks, but you don't need to do it. There's great coffee. There's great local coffee, and you're going to see it in my list tomorrow. And there's great breakfast, like really mind-blowing breakfast, which I'm also going to add to the list. So in cities like Boston, New York, London, and to a certain extent, Rome and Paris, there's great coffee and great local bites to have here. It's not like other US cities, which could be a little bit hard to find food. So Starbucks is a great resource if if you're in a rush or you are not with many options like many other smaller US cities, or not even smaller US cities, just other US cities, or more further off, not so popular European cities. Sometimes a Starbucks could be a good option. But here, you will have coffee shops that are better, that have better quick sandwich options, and have better coffee than the Starbucks. Unless if you want your Frappuccino, then you probably won't find a better Frappuccino than Starbucks. Forget tuna melt. You need goodies there. And what's okay? So okay, let me scroll back. I'm gonna try to answer every question rapid fire, like the flat screen. Yeah, it's nice. So one more time, Airbnb. You can see the full tour in the beginning of the video. That's strange. There was no curtains. There is a curtain. I raised it up right there. See, the curtain is raised up. Oh, this is a nice one. I hate that the light doesn't balance correctly. So let me answer all the questions. And I'm going to sit down in this chair. This is a nice chair. I'm going to sit in the comfy chair for these final rapid fire questions. Yes. Yes, we're getting comfy, everyone, for the final 5 minutes, final 10 minutes of this video. So let me know in the comments, do you want to see duck tours, or do you want to see like an aquarium, or do you want to see another interesting museum for the 1 p.m. broadcast? I don't know what I'm doing 1 p.m. I can't really do too much history or walking to a large extent because I have a huge backpack that's really heavy right there, carrying a bunch of stuff. So. Love the modern design. It looks sleek, says Happy Chick. Yes. Why do you choose Airbnb as a hotel motel? I already went through that. Airbnbs are more centrally located and less expensive. Here I am literally right next to the Freedom Trail. Are there cities you would not recommend an Airbnb? Some cities just don't have Airbnbs. I went to Budapest. Budapest barely had Airbnbs when I went like 5 years ago. Maybe that's changed. But some cities just don't have Airbnbs. They have very few Airbnbs, almost very few ratings. So when you do that, stay in a hotel. It's much better. Hello, Action Kid. Nice to see you here. He says, do they have drop-off services? I did that in New Orleans after I checked out before my flight. No drop-off service in this Airbnb. Does it have a private bathroom? Yes. Watch the beginning of the video, Rocky. Possibly, can you do that for your backpack? Oh yeah, they don't have storage room or drop-off for my backpack. I wish they did. It's very rare. Some Airbnbs do. Sometimes the Airbnb host accommodates. They did that for me when I stayed in Naples. I had to check out earlier, but I had to stay for a few more hours, and they let me leave my backpack. Please do the duck tour. The aquariums are kind of the same in every city. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So the aquarium is nothing special aside from like New York. And safety with sharing keys for entry. Is there an issue? No. The two keypads, see the beginning of the video, are keypads. They're keypads, no keys, electronic. I did not need to do any contact with the host, and did not need to greet anyone. They didn't need to talk to anyone. They gave me the key code, and I walked in, and it was easy. The door locks. I think the key code changes for your room because the key code was the same as certain digits in my phone, and I think they change it every time someone stays. The front door key code seems to be the same, but it's very easy to remember. Otherwise, you can write it down on your phone, or you can have a backup in your wallet/purse. Love the lights behind you. Yeah, it's a nice touch. I like that touch. Did you fly? Train. I took a train to Boston. Lauren. And the aquarium is nothing amazing compared to Atlanta or San Diego. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Thank you, everyone, for letting me know about the aquarium. You know, I really do miss aquariums, so I might do an aquarium live in New York then, not here. Do you think staying in Airbnb for the long term, let's say a month or two, is efficient? 100%. I stayed in London for 1 month in an Airbnb. I loved it. It was amazing. I stayed in Rome 3 weeks in an Airbnb. Best decision. It was right close to everything. Same thing with Paris. I was there nearly 3 weeks, and since I was in a very strict budget, because the longer one travels, the more you have to kind of budget around depending on how much access to funds you have. I had to budget in Paris because I traveled really with a low budget, and luckily I just bought a bunch of fresh produce. I was buying a baguette every single day. I had my bananas. I love bananas for breakfast, and it's very cheap. So great thing about Airbnb is that you can easily keep all your stuff, and then you can have a fridge. Most places have a fridge in the Airbnbs. Airbnb, when you're looking for rooms, recommend doing entire place to yourself. There's the option in the filters. You can stay in a room, but you might have to share a bathroom and you might have to share a common space. I tend to not like that. I'm a person, I don't even like hostels too much. I stay in a hostel if I have to. The one city where there was barely any Airbnbs was Athens as well, so I stayed in the hostel. But if I can, I like staying all to myself. I like my privacy. I like being on my own. Or if I'm traveling with friends or a significant other, I'd rather just also be in our own rooms or our own place. If you're coming in with friends, you can easily get a place with 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and I bet it'll be cheaper than the hotel. So no shared bathrooms. No, yeah, not for me. I don't like shared bathrooms personally. I'll do it if I have to, but I don't. If I can't, if I have the choice, I won't. What's your go-to streaming service? YouTube. YouTube, I watch most of my videos. I'm here, this is not vacation for me per se. I make videos, and it is my living. It is my career. It is my art. So a lot of the things I'm watching, I'm not really having too much leisure time when I travel. I usually just watch documentaries, listen to podcasts. So I'm using YouTube a lot. But if I were to take some leisure time, if I were here in Boston for a longer time and I'm not doing so many videos per day, I would use Netflix. Or I really like Amazon Prime. I love my nonfiction documentaries, and Amazon Prime is amazing. Thank you, Christine, for the stars. Do I have some souvenirs? Yeah, I have some souvenirs. For my producer or my mom. I do have a souvenir. Yes, I do have souvenirs. I got souvenirs for myself as well. Beacon Hill. This is Beacon Hill. But right next to Back Bay. It's only a 10-minute walk away from Back Bay. While taking the duck tour, check the times and rates before you go. Yes, everyone. Stay tuned at 1 p.m. I think I need to buy the ticket very soon. Museum of Comparative Zoology in Harvard is a must. I wish the museums in Harvard were open. They are not open. Have you done other jobs other than video? Yes, I used to work in tech. I was a community manager and a tech support. And in Curved, I was a social media manager. And I'm an electrical engineering degree. So, yeah, I worked in a few other things. First time into Boston? Yes. Oh, no. First time for videos. I've been to Boston twice before when I was in my early teenage years. Did you have a souvenir for my executive producer? I do. My family likes more edible things, so I brought. I'm not sure if they're watching, but I'm bringing some very good quality coffee, and I might be bringing some cannolis. Max, looking fresh, my man. Oh, thank you so much, Max. And did I miss any questions? Ask one more time again if I missed any questions. Do you know your next trip, Lauren? It's a pandemic. I want the pandemic to be over because I really want to go to UK and Ireland. So I don't know. Ideally, I want to go UK, but I don't know. If the pandemic continues, I hope maybe I can at least do Washington D.C. or Philadelphia maybe. Well, I think Washington D.C. Yeah, yeah. A lot of people want me in Ireland. Yeah, I want to do Ireland. Ireland, I would need a little bit higher budget, so that's why I am doing. I would do UK first because UK I can at least use a little bit more public transportation. But yeah, have I been to Prague? I've been to Prague, but not on Urbanist. I can't wait to go back. I really do want to do like I can easily do Prague like in 3 days on Urbanist. I don't think I'll need that much more. It's a beautiful city, but when it comes to covering like history and food, I think I could easily do it in 3 days. Yes, come to Ireland, especially Limerick. Yeah, I tend to go to all the different parts of Ireland. Ireland, I need a bigger budget, and luckily I'm getting more views on YouTube. I'm getting more views on TikTok. I'm getting more views on Facebook. So potentially I'll soon be able to have the budget to go to Ireland. Ireland does require a higher budget because I wouldn't just go to just Dublin. If I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to do a road trip to all the different little towns and other cities. Cork, Limerick, Kilkenny, Northern Ireland like Belfast. Be sure to stop by Bova. I already went to Bova on my last video. I absolutely loved it. I haven't been to Mexico. I've been personally, haven't been on Facebook Live video. I can't wait to go. I am very eager to talk about the history of Teotihuacan and the Aztecs. And I'm very eager to talk about the mysterious disappearance and the fall of the Mayan Empire. Stay tuned for that. Karen says, I'll make you dinner. Oh, thank you so much, Karen. Is there money in TikTok? Yes, there is. I'm part of the Creator Fund, and they pay money for educational content. So yeah, I'm making some money on TikTok, which is nice. So if you want support in a different way, I know some people can't support monetarily or can't contribute or don't care yet to contribute, which is okay. But if you really like my shows and want to support in a small way, if you're watching on Facebook, go on YouTube and watch the replays, so I can get a little bit of ad money, and go on TikTok and watch my TikToks. It's a great way to support. It's a tiny little way of support. And yes, to make these trips, I do require a budget. So making money from my videos helps sustain trips like these where I can show you cities vicariously. It's up to you whether you think it's worth it or not. If you don't think it's worth it, then don't watch. If you think it's worth it, watch. If you think it's really worth it, then contribute. And some people really contribute, so I really appreciate it. Go to where Dracula lives. I almost went. I covered Vlad the Impaler. Watch my Bucharest videos. They're on Facebook. And what amenities? Fridge are included in my AirBNB. And that's it. Not too many special amenities. There's a laundry room in the back, in the basement. Definitely worth it. There you go. Almost okay. And I've been to Teotihuacan. It's fascinating. Yes, I've been to Teotihuacan when I was also in my... I went to Teotihuacan when I graduated from high school, and it was so fascinating. Any future cities you plan to go to? All around UK is top priority. I want to go to London, Glasgow, Edinburgh, Belfast, everywhere in the UK. I want to go Cardiff. I want to go Wales. I want to go to those tiny little towns in Wales. I want to go Cornwall and have some Cornish pasties. I want to go everywhere in the UK. Urbanist might turn into the UK urbanist for a few months. So stay tuned. Do I get lonely when traveling? No, I don't. I'm a person comfortable with being on my own. So I don't get lonely, especially when I'm making videos, since I'm so focused on videos. If I were to travel fully for vacation, I probably wouldn't do it because I like making videos. This is my passion. This is what I enjoy doing. So I wouldn't really not make videos. But if I really wanted to disconnect, then maybe I would travel. So I wouldn't vacation in the traditional way. And before I made videos, when I did travel alone a few times, I did feel a little bit lonely. So what I would do, that happened to me when I visited Athens. And I felt a little bit lonely because I was on my own. And I did two things. I started making content. I started making Snapchats. And this was back in 2015, around there. And I started making Snapchats. It was like my early way of experimenting what urbanist would be. Was me doing Snapchats about Athens and its history and food. Athens, Greece, yes, Vasilios. Yep. The motherland of all Western culture. I went to Athens and I did Snapchats in order to really kind of experiment with making content, and that made me feel more productive. You know, loneliness comes when you're not doing anything. I think loneliness is a product of boredom, and it's a product of either not being here in the moment and focusing on lack. And thank you so much for tuning in, B. Griffin. Being in the moment and focusing on lack, saying like, "Oh, I'm not here with someone. Oh, why do I meet new people? Oh, why doesn't this happen? Why doesn't that happen?" When you are focused in that mindset while traveling, then you're only fueling the propensity to continue being lonely. Loneliness fades away when you are truly doing something from your heart, when you're truly enjoying something. So it could be living in the moment. If I were to take a vacation, which I've done so before from making videos, I do it to be fully in the moment, to be really still, to enjoy a meandering stroll through a city, to be by the beachside and just enjoy the sound of the waves coming through. That doesn't induce loneliness because you're there. How can you be lonely in the presence of such beauty? You may be in the city surrounded by gorgeous architecture or people of all different sorts and kinds, a new culture, new food, cobblestone streets. Even if you're in a poorer city or dirtier city, there's still beauty in the grit and the grime. You're gonna see my photos a little bit later. Follow me on Instagram. I'm gonna show you the gritty North End, and even that is beautiful. Or if you're in the nature and seeing a beautiful mountainside or the waves crashing by, that's gorgeous. How can you be lonely amidst the presence of such immense beauty? And if you are, and if that thought creeps into your head while you're traveling, remind yourself, wait a minute, I'm here. There's going to be plenty of opportunities in my entire life to meet someone, to meet people, to hang out with a friend again, to get back to my significant other, to hang out with family, to partake with a dinner with parents, to hang out with your children, whatever. There's so many opportunities that are going to arise to connect with people again. But if you're there, remember, it's just a thought. It's passing through your mind, loneliness. So no, I don't get lonely. And when I am making videos, I don't get lonely because I'm making videos. I'm doing my art. I'm making my whatever I like doing. And for me, I like making live videos. I like making TikToks. I like making short stories. I like writing and I like taking photos. I don't feel loneliness in amidst that. Did I have breakfast? I did. I had an amazing avocado sandwich. So I hope that helps. I know sometimes travel is not just about the history and the sites. Travel is not really about the history or the sites. Let's be honest here, everyone. I'll end with this. I had so many kind comments. I might have missed a few questions, but if I missed a few questions, feel free to ask for this video. If it's about Airbnb, feel free to ask in the comments after this video, not in the chat on YouTube, but in the comments after this video, or on Facebook after this video. Feel free to ask about Airbnb. I'll be more than happy to answer. I'll put the link to my Airbnb with a referral link. So if it's your first time using Airbnb, you'll be getting like $35 off or around there. And I also get some credit. So if you use that link, you're also supporting Urbanists, so I can stay in Airbnb in a different city and cover under the city and show you more history and food. But let me finish off with this thought. Thank you everyone for asking your comments. Did I sleep while traveling? Yes, I did. So I'll answer any further questions in the comments after this video about Airbnb. But I want to finish with this thought. Traveling is not really about the history or the sites. I cover the history and the sites, and that is just a nice thing about exploration. But let's be honest, traveling is about being in the moment. And when you travel, there is a certain trap. Oh, I gotta go soon. There's a certain trap of resisting the moment, of feeling like things are different, especially if you go to a very different city, or if you go to a place that is different just in the right places. Like, you can't quite go to a quick coffee shop. You know, like I experienced that in Paris. I couldn't quite grab a quick bite of food. I had to sit down in the restaurant, and Paris has slow service. So I had to sit down in a restaurant for at least an hour to grab a food and a good coffee. When that happens in traveling, it is an opportunity to embrace a new lifestyle. That's what traveling is about. It's about living in the moment. It's about challenging yourself. Sometimes it's challenging and sometimes it's easy and fun. But regardless of what it is, it's an opportunity to try something new. And we try something new and you're in that moment, those are going to be the memories. I don't think you're going to remember, or even me, I love my history. Ultimately, the things I'm going to remember traveling is not going to be where John Adams stepped foot or where Benjamin Franklin hung out with the other founding fathers. That is fun knowledge. Those are fun stories. I do that for entertainment. I do that to have a fun time. The act of storytelling is being in the moment for me. The act of listening to a story from a tour guide is also being in the moment for me. But that's not what you're going to remember. Not those details. You're going to remember being with the tour guide. I'm going to remember telling the story. But it's not about the details of the story. It's not about the specifics. You're going to remember the experience. So whenever you're traveling, embrace the experience. Go with the flow of the place you're at. A lot of people talk about traveling like a local. And when people say traveling like a local, they just mean on a very superficial sense. Go to where the locals go. Go to the restaurants where the locals go. And go to the neighborhoods where the locals go. But I encourage anyone who's watching this to maybe look a little bit deeper into that sentence, travel like a local. Travel to a place, embrace the place for what it is. The moment you start resisting against it, and this happens to everyone, it's happened to me many times. You've seen this captured on film. If you want to see it to my back catalog of my videos, for example, in Madrid and in Paris, where I was a little bit, in Madrid, I was struggling with kind of the history. It was a little bit depressing for me. And in Paris, I was a little bit struggling with the food.
if you give into that resistance, you're out of the moment and you're not going to have a good time. But the moment you say to yourself in Paris, F it, I'm in Paris, I can't grab a quick coffee, grab a quick breakfast, and go to the museum. I can't do that. I have to sit down. Then so be it. You're at the museum for a few seconds. Your voice sounds different. Do you have a cold? I'm a little bit dry. I've been speaking a lot and drinking coffee, so that's why my voice sounds different. Also, the AC is on, so I don't have a cold. It's just I'm a little bit dry. Don't go against that tide. Just embrace that. The plans are going to change. You're not going to visit a city the same way you're gonna visit your home city, your hometown. You might encounter a place where the food is going to be different. You might encounter like Spain where the food is in tiny little plates. You gotta eat tiny little plates. You gotta say to yourself, wait a minute, no more. I can't really focus on eating huge plates like I do in America and I'm done. Or if it's like a city like here in Boston, if you're used to doing very kind of kitschy type of adventurous kind of fashionable activities, and you come to a city like Boston where it's mostly about history, you gotta give into that history. You gotta give into the beauty of going to Faneuil Hall or checking out the old State House. You gotta give into that beauty. If you're in Rome, you gotta give into the Catholicism. To be honest, you gotta enjoy the Catholic churches. Rick Steves says something very funny every time he talks about Rome. He's like, if you go to Rome, you gotta put your Protestant sword by the door, which means that I know people have all different types of belief systems, but if you're going to a city like Rome, you're going to see Catholic churches everywhere that are just magnificent. So if you have some certain things against the Catholic religion or any other type of religion in any other city that you visit, you got to put that sword at the door and embrace that very moment. And this applies to food, this applies to leisure, this applies to beaches, this applies to walking around, this applies to meeting people, this applies to different types of humor. If you go to the UK, the humor is going to be a little bit more sarcastic, a little bit more dry. You're not going to know if people are actually joking around with you. You go to Turkey, people are going to be really roughly playful with you, which as an American might feel like they're insulting you, but they're not. They're just being playful. Every place is different. Go with it. And the way you know how it's different, the way you know how you have to go with it, is by thinking to yourself, what are you annoyed by those first day or two that you're at that place? What are you annoyed by those first 2 days that you're at that place? That is exactly what you need to do. That's exactly what you need to do in order to be in the moment, and that's exactly going to be that most powerful experience that you're going to remember many years from now. So, are you having a good time in Boston? 100%. Absolutely love Boston. Boston has really vibed well for me, so Boston is not too a challenging city for me. But I love Boston. Yeah, absolutely love Boston. Everyone, stay tuned for one more broadcast at 1 p.m. Not entirely sure what I'm doing, but it'll be something. It'll be something fun. I'll do one more pan of the room. Thank you so much for watching. Here's one more time the Airbnb in Boston, and if there's any other further questions about Airbnb, comment in YouTube or comment on Facebook and I'll answer them afterwards. Here's the bed, window, lamp, TV, what's his name again? His name is escaping my mind. This guy, very popular. It's best to leave your luggage in the Airbnb. I can't, unfortunately, there's not like a storage room. Any chance of meeting Affleck or Wahlberg? I wish, I try contacting them, but they're busy making movies. Everyone from beautiful Boston, thank you so much for watching. See you at 1 p.m. for one more last video in this beautiful historic city, in this historic Airbnb. Very, very beautiful Airbnb. I would recommend it. The link of the Airbnb will be posted in the comments right after this. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye. Lichtenstein. Yes, Roy Lichtenstein. Bye-bye, Roy Lichtenstein.